Welcome, everyone. I'm Bill Newell with MSO News Sports, and we have our sports writers here with us, Phil Stacy from the Salem News, Nick Kukuru, Gloucester Times, and we may have Matt Williams joining us at some point, but we do know that Nick Giannino is away, so he cannot be with us here. Although by Zoom, anything's possible. But we have a
I
lot to
told
talk.
him not to. I told
Yeah,
him to stay away.
yeah, stay away.
He
That's
got some
fine.
vacation. He earned it. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely. I mean, that would be wrong to seem to think that he should be joining us now when
Right.
he's on vacation. Uh, all right. So and that makes him look a lot better not being here too, to be quite I mean for him and his judgment. All right, Phil, let's go. Let's talk some lacrosse here. You've got it for us here. I saw in the paper today, Ipswich boys had what was it, a comeback win? I think it was. Was that it the other day against
It was back and
Hamilton
forth. It was
Wenham?
six
Yeah,
six, and they ended up winning 14-6. They scored the
yeah.
last 8 goals of the game. Yeah, they beat Hamilton Wenham on Saturday. Played really well throughout. Just kind of patient. Did a really nice job dodging. There weren't a lot of assists, so there were a lot of individual one-on-one beat the defender plays, go to the goal and score. I think once they found that they could have success with that, they went to it every time they got possession, and they won a ton of faceoffs in the second half. So they were able to get possession for long stretches. And Hamilton Wenham's got a pretty short bench. I think I counted 7 guys on the bench the other day, and probably only a couple with varsity experience. So it's a really thin team right now, and they had some injuries to a couple of defenders. Their goalie, Ben Wood, had the lead for a little while. So Ipswich just took advantage, as you'd expect a team coached by a veteran like Glenn Foster to do. Elliot Donovan, senior, put home 6 goals. Had a really nice day for himself. He's got I want to say 30 or 31 on the season. Will Harrington had 3. The freshman Finn Wright scored 3. Had a really nice game in net from Ryan Orth. Ipswich does not playing a lot of games. I mean, there was almost a shutdown at the school athletically for about 11 days because so many students were taking part in a April vacation trip to Europe for band that they really didn't play a lot of games, and a lot of the Ipswich teams are not playing as many games as you might see other teams playing 16 or 18. I think the Ipswich boys are only playing, I want to say 14 games. Yeah, 14 games I want to say they're playing. Maybe 13. But they're 6-3. They were ranked 5th in the latest Division 3 poll. Hamilton Wenham is going to get in because of the Division 3, the Division 4 bracket. There are teams in there with better records, obviously. Hamilton Wenham's 3-10 right now, but they play pretty good competition within the Cape Ann League. So that power ranking is reflected in who they play and what the scores are. So they're going to get in. And in fact, they could end up playing Ipswich again in the first round, which would be kind of interesting, I think.
Now you're also going to be doing a story this week on the girls lacrosse team too. I know they had a
I am.
pretty
Yeah.
exciting win the other day too, if I remember right. Yeah.
Yeah, they beat Hamilton 11-1, I think. And the highlight there was Ashton Flatter, the goalie, made her 400th career save. And Ella Stein hit a scoring milestone for Ipswich as well. So, yeah, I did. I went over there today with, we mentioned Nick Giannino was on vacation. So I'm going to pinch hit for him with the girls across column that we do each Monday. And I knew that the 2 Flather sisters, Ashton, who I just mentioned, the goalie, and her sister, Caden, who is an attackman, they're both seniors. They're both captains. Ipswich is the top ranked team in Division 4 right now. They're 9-1. I'm sorry, 11-1, I think, overall. So they're at the top of the rankings there. And, it turns out they're the number 3 and 4 ranked students in the senior class. They're both brilliant musicians. They're obviously terrific lacrosse players. So had a chance to go over there this afternoon, speak with the 2 of them, speak with head coach Allison Tivnan. And they've set it up where, they've clinched the Cal Baker division, and there's still 4 games to play, but they've set it up so that they're going to be really tested down the home stretch here before the playoffs begin. So they have Danvers on Tuesday. As you're listening to this, it would be Tuesday afternoon. That's Coach Tivnan's hometown team, where she played. So that's exciting for her to go up against Nico Pranda and his team on Tuesday afternoon. Then they're going to play Manchester Essex to round out the Cape Ann League season. And then they've got a couple of Division I games next week, a Division I competition, I should say, to prepare themselves for the state tournament. Just in Winchester and Beverly, and both of those are on the road. In fact, their last three, including that game at Manchester Essex, is on the road. So they'll be tested. Could certainly suffer a loss or two. I don't think that really plays into the big picture for them too much. They've won their league. They're going to get a really good seeding. I mean, of course, the top seeding would be great, but they're not going to drop out of the top four no matter what happens. So they're in good shape, and it could be a nice little run there in Tiger Town for both of the lacrosse teams.
Right. Any other notes to share with us on lacrosse, Phil, that you want to drop a
Yeah, I mean, I should mention. I don't know if we talk a whole lot always about Pingree, but geez, they're rolling right now. Last year, they set a school record by winning their last 16 games in a row. Well, right now they've won 14 in a row after beating Landmark today, 18-5. They played 20 games already because the prep schools schedules are a little bit different than the MIA schedule. So they're going to play 24 in all. They're going to wrap up their schedule next week, but 19-1, and they've just been burying most of the teams they play. Close to 300 goals for this team. Today they were able to spread it out a little bit. Their so-called stars didn't really have to factor in. So you saw guys like Ryan Kavanaugh step up and scored 4 goals, and Quinn Donovan got 3 goals and 2 assists. Max Becker has been excellent in goal for Pingree all season. He's only a sophomore, but he's getting Division I looks already. He's really talented, showcases himself throughout the summer, and college coaches certainly know who he is. Riley McClure has stepped up as the big scorer for Pingree, 44 goals, 74 points on the season. Bodie Canetta with 37 goals of his own, 54 points. Sean Stevens missed some time with injury. He was leading the team in scoring early on, but he came back with a flourish recently. He had an 8-goal game last week. So he's also up to 37 goals of 50 points. Guy Taylor's another guy, 29 goals, 52 points. Dylan Feeks, 25 goals, 46 points. They get some really strong defensive play from guys like Cam Dick. He's a captain. Rogan Cardinal has played really well in front of Becker. Francisco Morales. So Kevin Trisolo, head coach Kevin Trisolo, his team is always one of the best small school, let's call it prep schools in New England. And this year is no different. 19-1. They've clinched their league title. They're playing Phillips Exeter this week, and then they're playing a tournament at I want to say it's at Phillips Andover this weekend. It's like instead of the playoffs, which they had won like 5 years in a row, they're now in like a 4-team playoff this week. I'll have some notes about it in this week's Slack Slowdown column on Thursday. But it's a chance for them to show, that they're the strongest of these very strong 4 prep schools. The way they're playing, I wouldn't bet against them. They just find a way to get it done. Even in the close games that they played, I think they've had like 3 12-10 games against some other prep school powerhouses such as Thayer and Brewster and most recently New Hampton. They always find a way to lock it down defensively when it matters, and they get those timely goals in the fourth quarter to pull away.
So they've got 14 wins, Phil, in a row. Can they get 16 again, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
They could, if they win out, they could finish the season with 18 straight wins.
Okay.
Because like I said, they play Phillips Exeter on Wednesday. They have a 2-game tournament this coming Saturday. That's the playoffs. It's just a morning game, and then if you win, you play in the afternoon. And then they have one final game with Phillips Andover next week. So theoretically, yeah, they could end the season 23-1 with 18 straight wins.
Well, next year, if they do this 18 win thing this year, that'll be tough to beat next year, I would think.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just thinking,
No, it's true.
So again, the girls lacrosse column is in Monday's paper, written by Nick Giannino.
Yes.
I looked at that today. So and the next one will be next Monday. The boys lacrosse column comes out on Wednesday.
Yep.
I got one baseball note here, and then I know Nick Kukru has a baseball note from up in the Cape Ann area. But Marblehead beat Swampscott Monday 6-4 today as we record this. It's their 9th win, so they're creeping close to the postseason themselves with the at least with that 10th win on the verge of getting their 10th win. Chris Canusio with the save for Marblehead. in that win, and they play Beverly Wednesday on their senior day, Wednesday afternoon at Seaside Park. So that's got kind of a good game to take a
And I
look
think
at on
Beverly won
Wednesday.
2-1 today, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well,
In their
Beverly's
game, they
rolling. That'll be a
yeah,
tough
they went
matchup
up that
for
Tucker.
Marblehead. Yeah.
Right. I should
Uh,
just mention real quick before we sign off on lacrosse, there was on the girls' side, Beverly beat Peabody today 15-8. Jocelyn Silva was 6 goals for Beverly. Lily Shea, 3 goals, 4 assists. Lauren Cayley, 4 goals. They're really piling up some points, Bill. Those that trio there. Jocelyn's now up to 58 goals, 82 points. Lauren Cayley, 52 goals, 71 points. Lily Shea, 27 goals, and even 50 points. But from the Peabody side, which I thought was kind of neat, was Brooke Lamazney had 5 goals of her own and 1 assist, and she now has 200 career points. So nice job for Brooke. We certainly know her to be an all-around excellent athlete, but she now is up to 62 goals in the season and 89 points. So congratulations, Brooke.
well, we welcome in Matt Williams. And Matt, believe it or not, we were talking baseball, although Phil just digressed back to lacrosse quickly here. But we're in baseball right now, so that's where you come in. But first, Nick Kukru, you got some baseball notes to share with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't talked a ton about Gloucester baseball in the podcast this year. I mean, they've kind of been buried a little bit. They were started off 0-5, but they've really done a great job kind of climbing out of that. 7-3 in their last 10. They're now 7-8, and they got Lynn English at home tomorrow. If they win that one, they're back to 500 in tournament contention, which I thought would be pretty hard to believe after looking at an 0-5 start, with a couple tough losses in there. I know Swampscott was one that they'd like to have back. Winthrop was one of their losses as well. But then they've come back. They've beaten Beverly and Danvers. And Marblehead's kind of had their number, but they put up some quality wins. They've kind of really turned things around. Rory Gentile, he only had one returning starter coming back this year, so there was a bit of a transition period. But they've kind of pulled it together. Zach Morris has found his command, and he's been when he's on, he's been unhittable. He's beaten Danvers and Beverly, and he may face Masco at the end of this week too. That's a big one coming up on Friday. That could I know Gloucester's not in the NEC title picture, but they could play a bit of a factor there. I know Beverly's still on Masco's heels, so Gloucester could play a little bit of spoiler role and muddy the waters a bit. But outside of Morris, they've kind of developed a bit of a rotation. Giacomo Martel, a sophomore, he's a real tall, about a 6'3", 6'4" sophomore. And he just comes after hitters, throws strikes, and they've been making the plays behind him. And then another sophomore, Braden Francis, has kind of been their bullpen guy. Going 1-2 innings. He came in with 2 men on base against Danvers in a 2-1 game in the bottom of the 7th. Got a couple strikeouts to end it for the save there. So yeah, they're rounded into shape. They need to win 3 out of their last 5 to get into the tournament. They're kind of on the bubble right now at 36. They might need to get to that 10-win threshold with the teams they got. They got Lynn English twice. They got Revere. They got Saugus, and they got Masco. So if they drop that Masco one, they might need the 10 wins to get in. But that's very doable to win 3 out of those last 5 against that slate.
All right. Well, Matt, you're joining us. You're coming from a baseball game today on Monday.
Softball.
Softball. I'm sorry. Okay. You guys are all
Mighty,
doing different. You guys are mixing it all up this week there at the Salem News here. We got another story on that in just a moment. But what game were you at today, Matt?
the mighty Boxford Fisher Cats.
Nice.
But no, I mean, in the baseball world, I think the most interesting thing is the teams that are chasing 10 wins, right? We've got some bubble teams here. Danvers with 8 wins, visiting Masco and Beverly in their next couple of games. Interesting enough, Danvers in 14 games this year has faced 9 staff aces. So Danvers faced a lot of frontline starting pitching, and that trend doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. But 8 wins for Danvers. They need to get 2 more in their last 5 games. Essex Tech 8-8. They're looking for 2 more in their last 4 games. Marblehead got their 9th today, so they need just 1 more with 3 games plus the Haverhill tournament to go. So they're in pretty good shape there. Peabody, they're playing Masco under the lights right now. I don't know exactly how that's going, but they got 6 wins. So they're going to need 4 more in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 out of 6. And it becomes 4 out of 5 if they don't beat Masco tonight. So that could be a challenge for the Tanners. So those are the kind of teams I have my eye on baseball wise, much like Kooks was saying, just looking for those teams that are hovering around that 7-8 win thing to see if they can get into that 10 win situation there. Now we've got a visitor here, and Beverly, in fact, today in extra innings beat Pentucket 2-1 on a double steal. Anthony Mastriani straight steal a home on a double with a guy trying to steal second base. So Beverly pulls out a win 2-1 over Pentucket. That's their 12th. So they're in pretty good shape there. But so just an exciting score that just came in. But really, those are the things I have my eye on. And the only other thing really is the NEC title chase in the Dunn. Masconomet and Beverly both with 2 league losses at this moment in time. With Masco actually has 5 league games left. Beverly only has 3 league games left, and they don't play each other again. So, Masco's got some pressure on to win those games in hand, and Beverly does as well. And Danvers 2 games back, playing both those teams, looking to play the spoiler. I mean, guys, you may remember this time last year, Danvers was in this boat a couple of games back of Beverly, and we all kind of wrote them off, and they were able to win their games and end up with a co-championship with Beverly. So I wouldn't write off Danvers either. I mean, if they beat Beverly and Masco this week, next week's going to be a really tight chase for that NEC Dunn title.
Matt, who do we have that are already in? Because we have Salem in, right? You just mentioned
Yes.
Beverly.
So I'll run through it in our area real quick. Beverly is in with 12 wins. Bishop Fenwick has a winning record clinched. They're in with 11 wins as well. Hamilton Wenham only has 9 wins, but they're top 10 power ranking team. I mean, they're going to be in no matter what. I don't see them not getting a 10, but even if they don't, somehow they're going to be in the tournament regardless. Masconomet has 10 wins. They're good. And St. John's Prep also, again, they won today, so that's their 8th win. But again, even if they go 8-12, they're getting in. Their power ranking is too good. And the only team that, technically speaking, at this moment has been eliminated is Swampscott at 2-14. The Big Blue, good team, got a lot of close games over there, but they're starting 3 freshmen and several sophomores, so some growing pains there. But certainly Joe, Cap's squad, will benefit from that later on. But out of our 13 MIAA teams, Swampscott is the only one that's eliminated as of the recording here.
Yeah. All right.
And not in our readership area, but Classical's in. I know that. I just saw that they were 14-1. So
yeah.
Oh, for sure, yeah. St. Mary's Lynn will be in. I believe they're right around 500, but they've been consistently a top 20 team. So they'll be, even if they go 8-12, 9-11, they'll be in no matter what. English, I'm not sure about.
I think English is around 500, but I don't know that for a fact. I knew they played Classical last week and they were around a 500 team then, I believe. Yeah. And
Yeah,
lost.
I think Lynn Tech, same thing. They're around 500.
Yeah.
In fact, Fenwick beat Lynn Tech today, so that's Fenwick's 12th win.
I shockingly have 0 teams that have clinched it. Baseball might be, historically the last 5 or 6 years, maybe one of the better sports on Cape Ann, but I have Manchester Essex at 32, number 32 in Division 4 is the only team in my area ranked in the top 32 right about now. Gloucester's 36. Rockport's got a young team this year. They're still looking for their first W, but they're plugging along.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, we've got some time left here, and we can jump back to some local sports. But should we talk about the Celtics? Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, Phil's a good luck charm. I think he should probably go to every game from now on.
So this is I watched the news today, and they interviewed Jason Tatum, the post game press conference, and I see him wearing this. This is what I see him wearing, basically here. Get that a little bit bigger here, but there it is. And I'm thinking, okay, that's all right. But then I see Phil Stacey's tweet, which we'll have it on our post here. But it says, when you score 51 points, you can wear whatever you want. And there you go. It doesn't explain what we wear here.
I'm sure it was probably it looked like a bowling shirt. I'm sure it was probably like $500, but he kind of just strolled in, big number 7 on the back of that thing, sweet hair, don't care, didn't matter to him. It's funny. I'm sure some people who listen to the podcast know I cover a lot of the Bruins home games. I think I went to, including the playoffs, I went to 26 games this year. Great regular season and the playoffs, right? I've been to 2 Celtics games the last 2 years. Game 7 against Milwaukee last year when good friend Nick Giannino was under the weather. And Game 7 yesterday, Mother's Day, Mr. Williams was a good son and took care of his mom. And I stepped in with Nick on vacation. And I've seen 2 pretty good Celtics games. Maybe I am a good luck charm. I don't know. But yeah, Tatum couldn't miss yesterday. He was on. It's funny. They were down early in the second quarter. And I felt like, okay, I think they were down 9. And I'm thinking, there's no way that the Philadelphia is going to sustain this. And then that play happened where, if you were watching, was the guy from, was it Haverhill Willie or somewhere up in the Merrimack Valley? Nang?
Yes, I
Okay.
think it is Haverhill. I think.
I thought it was Lawrence. I thought it was a Central Catholic kid, but I could be wrong.
Some
I don't think he
outpost.
ever played for an MI. I think he was a prep school kid.
Oh, was
Maybe
he?
like
Okay.
maybe when he was a freshman or something. He definitely didn't win a
Mhm.
championship or anything. I don't think.
Okay. Well, we can say an outpost north of the North Shore. And despite being a serious hoophead, I'd never heard of him before. But he grabs, he makes a grab at Jaylen Brown. Now he's on the bench. Jaylen Brown of the Celtics is going by. He makes a grab at him. Somehow, I still don't understand this. And again, I'm not a savant, but Brown gets a technical, which I couldn't figure out why he got the technical. And things seem to like kind of change from there. And in fact, Brown got hit in the nose too, and he got bloodied, not on that play, but at an earlier sequence. And that seemed to change things for the Celtics. I think Brown scored like 6 of the next, 10 points, something like that. And then Tatum really started to heat up. And the next thing you know, he's got, I think I added up from the point that it was 35-26 with about 9 minutes to go in the second quarter until the end of the third quarter. I wish I had the paper in front of me that I wrote it down. But the Celtics outscored them by like 34 points or 36 points, the Sixers. And Tatum had 35 points during that stretch. I mean, he couldn't miss. And it wasn't just 3-pointers, which to me is, a big reason why I don't follow the NBA religiously. I don't like to see teams checking 45 3-pointers a night. But he mixed it up with drives. He had floaters. He had step backs. He was, hitting traditional 2-pointers, which I love to see. And then he was, when the time called for it, whether it was the top of the key or it was a great sequence where he took Joel Embiid to the basket, and Embiid was playing really good defense. So Tatum kind of reversed course, shot out to the left corner, where I remember Larry Legend missing that shot, game 4 against the Lakers at my prom way back in the 80s. But in that left corner, and he just buried it over Embiid. And, he was just, it was a thing to watch. I had a real appreciation for someone in a team that I don't follow all that much for how well they can play when they play at their highest capabilities. And, I'm kind of looking forward now to seeing them in the conference finals against Miami. It seems like it's going to be another really difficult matchup. Miami is not a traditional 8 seed, I wouldn't say, especially with the dangerous Jimmy Butler, who has hurt the Celtics in the past in this position. But I think it would be foolish to bet against the Celtics just based on the fact that A, they have home court, B, they have a terrific amount of talent on the team, and C, this is part of their destiny. I think after what happened last year, where they probably should have won in the finals and they lost, I think they've had to go through some tough stretches this year and maybe have some growing pains, some painful growing pains. They were down 3-2 to the Sixers, and their best player, Tatum, had a terrible game 6 for 3+ quarters before he finally heated up in the fourth and helped them to win. But, it seems to me like this is a team that could certainly go back to the championship. And, hey, who wouldn't love a Celtics-Lakers final? I'm sure the people that write the checks in the league office and the television partners would certainly like that. They're not looking for Denver, Miami. Even I know that. So we shall see.
I mean, be quite comedic if the NBA can throw out Celtics Lakers, and meanwhile the NHL has like the Kraken and the Panthers here. Like
Oh,
this is not good for the It occurs to me that the Bruins have like hurt themselves not only at the box office by losing, but by allowing these nobody teams to beat them. Right? That means that the ratings are going to go down. The cap is going to go down. They're going to be even more cap. They're going to be in even more cap trouble by virtue of their losing. Because they're letting these small market teams go forward. Like they really had incentives to go further, to make the cap go up, to make their lives easier going forward.
and in fairness to the Bruins, I mean, of course, what they did was a terrible choke job. I mean, you don't win 65 games and 135 points in the regular season, then bow out in the first round and not be labeled a choker. I mean, it is what it is. But quite a few other teams that, had cup aspirations have lost as well. I mean, Colorado went out in the first round. I thought the Rangers would make a nice run. They went out in the first round. Of course, Toronto, I think they figured like they had it easy going up against Florida in the second round. They got bounced in 5. Dallas, which I had going to the finals, they're in game 7 tonight against Seattle. So who knows what's going to happen there. Edmonton's out. And really, I know, as you've mentioned, like, look who's still coaching in these playoffs. Big, bad, mean Bruce Cassidy.
Meanest coach in town. I mean, the other thing is,
this team might be the favorite right now. I mean, honestly.
Connor McDavid is lucky that nobody cares about the NHL because, I mean, to Phil's point, like, it was wide open for him this year. Every single good team lost. I mean, if he didn't get his cup this year, is he ever going to get his cup? He should be getting more heat today than Joel Embiid and, all these other NBA stars that have lost and flamed out. Kevin Durant is getting a lot of junk for losing in Phoenix. Your Kyrie Irvings. I mean, this McDavid, like that, if the NHL got the kind of attention that the NFL and the NBA get, he would be having to answer some really hard questions. I mean, it was wide open for the Oilers. Like, if they didn't win this year with the teams that they had to play, I don't know if they're ever going to win. I mean, what's Vegas on its 9th string goalie at this point? I mean, that's really bad for him. And I mean, I'm a McDavid fan, but if you apply the same standard that we do to all these quarterbacks that we call chokers and these NBA players, I mean, this guy's in some trouble, I feel like.
It is a shame that a guy like him, or, we hear it all the time, like a Mike Trout, doesn't get to play for their sports championship. I mean, Trout can't even get in the playoffs.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Trout's. I mean, McDavid. I think is more like Embiid or
Yeah.
Durant. Where it's just like this generational talent that can't hack it in the playoffs for whatever reason, or like LeBron before he broke through.
And you know what? Like,
ago.
and again, I'll say it for the umpteenth time here. Not a basketball savant, at least not. Ask me anything in 20th century. I know my stuff very well. 21st century, not so much. But I thought, Embiid actually played pretty well considering as injured as he was. Seeing him in person yesterday, he was getting up and down the floor for probably 2.5 quarters before it just seemed like he was gassed. And it was a 25-point game at that point. So, it wasn't going to matter what he did. But Harden's a guy I thought who stunk. I know he went off in one of those games.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Great example.
Or 2 of those games.
I think a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, 1 and 4 maybe he went off on those games. But I thought he was a non-factor yesterday. And that's a guy, if he's your number 2, he's going to step up and assume the role if number 1 is injured or playing hurt or whatever. And I thought he was, a little bit, woof woof, in game 7.
I don't know what you guys watched that play that Phil you were talking about where Tatum was held by the player on the bench, and they call the technical foul. They call the technical foul on Tatum. Then they review it, which I give them credit for, but I don't. And they give out matching technicals now, following that play. But I don't understand why when they've done it before, it works out right. But on that, I thought the ref should have taken back if you can do it. I don't see why you can't take back a technical if you can just assign another technical to the other guy.
If you can review it, why can't you take back a mistake?
Yeah, I mean,
ironically, they did take it back today.
What's that?
They took it back today. I know it's too little, too late, but
Oh, they
if you get a
did.
certain amount, yeah, if you get a certain amount of technicals, you get suspended. So he doesn't. He got it rescinded today.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Well, that I have nothing then.
Oh, you always
I
got something, Bill.
I was not aware until I got to the Garden yesterday that Doc Rivers, who when he was here, was it seemed like he could do no wrong. I mean, he had that great 2008 team and led them to the title, and they went back to the finals in 2010. But I didn't realize that he had such a poor record, not only in Game Sevens, but where his team held a series lead, whether it was 3-1 or 3-2, and then they ultimately lost that series. I mean, did that happen here once? Were they up in that
Twice.
2010 series against the Lakers?
The finals against the Lakers
When
and
Perkins got hurt, right? The
yeah,
center?
yeah,
Okay.
that's really where it started. I mean, they also blew a lead against Orlando the year after
That
the
was the one I was
championship.
gonna say. With
But
Garnett didn't have a knee.
as bad as that was, Garnett didn't play, so like they weren't going to win anything anyway.
Okay.
That was his phantom knee injury. But I mean, ever since Perk got hurt and they blew that series against LA, it's really been downhill for Rivers ever since. I think they blew a lead against LeBron a couple of years later, and then obviously he didn't want to be part of the rebuild here. Oops, and then a mess with the Clippers and a mess with Philly, which I mean, you can't hang it all on Doc, right? They've kind of been the same team with three different coaches now, a lot like the Bruins. You can't hang it all on Monty because they did the same stuff with Claude and Cassidy. But at the same time, yeah, it might be time for Doc to hang him up and rejoin the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
I
The
gotta give him a
process
pass
isn't
for
working too well, huh?
2010. He had to survive the Joey Crawford Scott Foster special on the road in Game 7. That's the one Boston sports game that I'm the most bitter about. I honestly, you asked me, the Celtics are my fourth out of four, but they got hosed in a bad way in that fourth quarter in Game 7. I think they were in the penalty with 8.5 minutes left, and then they
Yeah.
gave Kobe the MVP when he shot 7 for 25 from the field.
I,
Yeah,
I, I remember that
you're not
game
wrong.
again. I don't watch a lot of them, Nick, but I did remember watching that one. And it was Rasheed Wallace that had
Yeah.
to fill in at center,
Mhm.
and he just kept getting foul after foul. And I'm like, where are these
after
coming
they
from?
didn't after they didn't call anything for 3 quarters, a total
Right.
bloodbath, and then all of a sudden 3.5 minutes in, Celtics the Lakers are shooting free throws every time they get touched. It was I don't know. Clearly I'm over it.
Have there ever been guys game sevens in Boston sports on Mother's Day? Does that ring a bell with anybody? Maybe it's just the time of the year. It just seems like something that might have happened before. Game
Well, I mean, the
sevens
most
on a
I
Mother's
feel like
Day.
it
famous
must
Mother's
have been.
Day game in Boston history was Bobby Orr flying through the air, scoring to beat St. Louis to win the Stanley Cup. That was Mother's Day 1970.
Was that game six though? That
Game
was seven?
4.
Oh,
No,
four. Okay.
they
Okay.
swept. Yeah. So I don't know if there was ever. I mean, I would guess that there has been, only because
That's what I'm thinking.
between the Bruins and the Celtics, there had to have been at least one Game 7 in that, I would think. But off the top of my head, I don't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe
All
a
right.
question for Paul Swaim. He might know that.
Why would he know that? Would he know?
He's like, Paul knows, like, I've asked Paul questions before, and he comes up with the answer almost instantaneously. And I'm like, how do you know that? He's like, oh, I just got a lot of useless sports knowledge in my head. Like, well, that makes two of us, but even I don't know that. So
Not useful if it can help Phil Stacy out. Not useful at all. No.
that's how I judge people.
Yeah, really. All right, gentlemen. I guess that'll do it for us. Anything, guys, coming up this week? If we had 1 minute left, thereabouts. Anything for us to look forward to this week? We mentioned the Beverly Marblehead baseball game Wednesday. What else do we have?
Danish Cup lacrosse Friday night, Peabody Bishop Fenwick. Fenwick has never beaten Peabody in the tournament's history, which I think now is in its 12th or 13th year. And Peabody could very well need that game. It's their final game of the regular season. They may need that game to qualify for the state tournament. So 7 o'clock in Tanatown should be a great game.
Bob
Endicott,
Danish,
men and women, baseball and softball, NCAA tournament this weekend. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, pairings came out today. I think who is it that goes to Endicott baseball goes to Bridgewater State. They're the top seed in that regional, and I believe that Endicott women are going to MIT, and they open up against RPI on Thursday. baseball opens up against host Bridgewater State on Friday, if I'm remembering that correctly.
I believe that's correct. Yes. Endicott. Yeah, you're right. Endicott is the higher seed. Bridgewater, the host, because Endicott has a graduation this weekend, so they
Correct.
weren't able to host.
Come on, graduation.
And they got the Frozen Four, so they figured they'd spread it around a little bit.
There you
They,
go.
they're holding out for the super regional. Fingers crossed.
Go. All right, gentlemen. Always good talking with you, and we'll talk again soon.
You too, Bill. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Take care.